Ever get that feeling like when a song comes on and you just have to move?
Yeah.
Scientists call that urge groove.
Right.
And we're diving into some brand new research that suggests it's more complex than we thought.
Okay.
The study,
Mm-hmm.
featured in Neuroscience News just last week,
Oh, wow.
is titled, "The Urge to Move to Music is Hardwired." Catchy, right?
Yeah.
But here's the truly fascinating part.
Okay.
It seems like even people who don't actually enjoy music
Mm.
still feel that pull to move to a beat.
Uh-huh.
To help unpack this, we've got an expert on the line
Great.
who can explain what's going on in our brains when we get our groove on.
What's really interesting about this study is that it challenges our assumptions about why we move to music.
Okay.
We tend to think it's because we enjoy it,
Right.
but the research suggests there might be something deeper at play.
Okay, so let's talk about this study.
Sure.
What did the researchers actually do?
They worked with two groups of people, those who experience typical musical enjoyment and those with a condition called musical anhedonia.
Musical anhedonia.
Essentially, this means they don't get pleasure from listening to music.
Wow.
It's not just disliking certain genres.
Right.
It's a deeper inability to experience that reward feeling.
I had no idea that was even a thing.
Yeah.
So how do they test these two groups?
The researchers played them music with varying levels of rhythmic complexity,
Okay.
asking them to rate both their enjoyment and how much the music made them want to move.
Gotcha.
The results were surprising, to say the least.
All right, I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Uh-huh.
What did they find?
Both groups, regardless of whether they enjoyed the music, showed a similar urge to move.
Wow.
And it wasn't just any movement.
Okay.
The urge was strongest for moderately complex rhythms.
Yeah.
Not too simple, not too chaotic.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like there's a sweet spot for getting your groove on.
Hold on. So you're telling me that even if someone doesn't feel any joy from listening to music, their body might still be pushing them to dance?
Yeah.
That seems counterintuitive.
It does challenge our traditional thinking,
Yeah.
and it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The researchers believe this suggests that the urge to move to music might be a separate physiological response, potentially driven by different brain circuits than those responsible for actually enjoying music.
Okay, now we're getting into brain stuff.
Right.
Can you break down what those brain differences might be?
Think of it this way.
Okay.
There are different parts of the brain that light up when we experience pleasure versus when we initiate movement.
Uh-huh.
The study suggests that the urge to groove might be linked more to areas that control movement,
Okay.
like your brain's internal dance floor.
So someone with musical anhedonia
Right.
might not feel the emotional high from a great song, but their brain is still sending signals to get their body moving.
Exactly.
That's wild.
It opens up some fascinating questions about why humans seem to be wired this way.
Yeah.
What evolutionary purpose could this serve?
Yep.
Why would our brains have a separate system for urging us to move, even if we're not consciously enjoying the music?
Those are some big questions.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this study is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of understanding this connection between music and movement.
It really is. This research has implications beyond just understanding musical anhedonia.
Okay.
It gives us a glimpse into the very nature of groove and how it might be rooted in our evolutionary past.
Ooh. I love when we can connect things back to our ancient ancestors.
Right.
What are you thinking?
Well, coordinated movement and rhythm have been vital for human survival and social bonding for a very long time.
Right.
Think tribal dances, work songs.
Uh-huh.
Synchronized movement helped us work together, build communities, and even attract mates.
So maybe this urge to move to music is a leftover instinct from those days.
Yeah.
Like we're hardwired to groove.
That's a compelling theory.
Yeah.
If true, it would mean the pleasure we get from dancing isn't solely a product of our modern, culturally shaped tastes.
Right.
It could be tapping into something much deeper and more ancient within us.
It makes you wonder if other animals feel that same urge to move to a beat. Have there been any studies on that?
There have been.
Yeah.
And the findings are fascinating.
Oh.
Some animals, particularly those with complex social structures, seem to show sensitivity to rhythm and synchronization.
Really?
For example, parrots have been observed bobbing their heads and even synchronizing their movements to music.
Yeah.
And certain species of monkeys have been seen moving rhythmically in response to certain sounds.
That's incredible. It makes you think about the universality of music and movement, maybe even as a language that transcends species.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to humans for a second. We talked about those different brain regions involved.
Yeah.
But can you explain a bit more about how they might be functioning differently in people who don't experience pleasure from music?
Of course. One hypothesis is that in people with musical anhedonia, the connection between the auditory cortex, which processes sound, and the reward centers in the brain might be weaker or less efficient. So they're hearing the music, but their brain isn't registering it as particularly pleasurable or rewarding.
So their feel-good response just isn't firing.
Right.
But they might still feel the urge to move because the connection between the auditory cortex and the motor areas is still strong.
Exactly. It's like their bodies are responding to the music on a subconscious level, even if their conscious minds aren't registering it as enjoyable.
That's mind-blowing. But it makes me wonder, if someone knows they have musical anhedonia, would they even seek out music or dancing?
That's a great question, and it depends.
Oh,
Some people with musical anhedonia might avoid music altogether since they don't find it enjoyable.
right.
But others, especially if they're aware of the benefits of movement, might choose to engage in activities like dancing or exercising to music, even if they don't experience the same emotional reward as others.
So it's less about the pleasure and more about the physical and social benefits of moving.
Precisely. The physical release, the social connection, or even the cognitive stimulation that comes with moving to music might be enough to outweigh the lack of direct musical pleasure.
Okay.
Think of it like going for a run.
Hmm.
Some people find it exhilarating, while others view it as a necessary workout.
Right.
They're both getting the physical benefits, even if the experience itself is different.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And this whole deep dive has really made me rethink my own relationship with music.
Hmm.
I'm now much more aware of the interplay between the emotional and physical aspects of the experience.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about how the urge to move might be a separate response from enjoyment and even an evolutionary adaptation.
Uh-huh.
But what about the opposite? What about people who love music, who get immense pleasure from listening, but don't necessarily feel the urge to dance?
That's a brilliant question, and one we don't have a definitive answer to yet.
Okay.
It's possible that for these individuals, the reward centers in their brain are so stimulated by the music itself that the urge to move becomes less pronounced.
Gotcha.
Or it could be that their personal preferences or cultural influences shape their responses in a way that prioritizes listening over moving.
So a mix of brain chemistry, personal taste, and cultural factors. It seems like there's no one-size-fits-all answer to how we experience music.
Absolutely. It highlights the beautiful complexity of music and how it intersects with our individual brains, bodies, and experiences.
This whole conversation has me thinking about something else.
Oh, yeah.
We've been talking about the urge to move.
Right.
But what about people who can't move?
Mm-hmm.
Individuals with mobility limitations or disabilities.
Yeah.
Does this research have any implications for them?
That's a really insightful question.
Yeah.
And it's something researchers are starting to explore.
Okay.
If the urge to move is hardwired, as this study suggests, it raises questions about how people unable to physically move experience music.
It makes you wonder if their brains might find other ways to express that urge,
Mm-hmm.
maybe through mental imagery or even subtle muscle movements.
Exactly. And there's some evidence to support that idea.
Oh, really? Studies have shown that even when people are physically restrained, their brains still show activity in the motor areas when they listen to music.
So their brains are still trying to move even if their bodies can't.
It seems that way.
That's remarkable.
And this could have significant implications for music therapy and rehabilitation programs.
Yeah.
If we can tap into this innate urge to move even in individuals with limited mobility, it could open up new possibilities for healing self-expression and even joy.
It's amazing to think that music could have such a profound impact on our brains and bodies, even in the face of physical challenges. This deep dive has been eye-opening on so many levels. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of what it means to groove.
Me too.
Yeah.
It reminds us that music is more than just entertainment. It's a fundamental part of what makes us human.
Yeah.
It has the power to connect us to ourselves, to each other, and to the world around us in ways we're only beginning to understand. Well said. This has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive. But before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with something to ponder. Think about your favorite songs to dance to. Would you enjoy them as much if you couldn't move? Maybe the joy of music isn't just in our ears, but also in our bodies. We encourage you to pay attention to your own experience of music and movement this week. Notice how your body responds, how your emotions shift, and what brings you the most joy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep grooving.